Yep.
Okay. Pat, you are live.
A very warm welcome to my diveLIVE family. I am Pat. I'm going to be your underwater biologist today. We have Emil, the Hungarian, on camera, and up on the surface as your marine biologist, we have Lauren, the Scot. Now, I am at Casuarina Point today, only about 20 or 30 metres, it's only about 100 feet offshore, over this engine block here, and I'm only at 4 metres depth, so about 15 feet. Now, why I'm at the engine block is because we have a great surprise here, a Moray eel. Now, Lauren is the expert on these animals, so why don't you say hello and give this guy a bit of an introduction.
Thanks, Pat. I'm a little bit jealous of you right now with this eel, but hi everybody who's watching. Thank you for joining us. And for any of you who have been following us, we have been waiting to see a Moray for quite some time. So Emil, it's quite out of focus, but in this engine block is a Moray eel. And they are fish. They are not snakes or reptiles or anything like that. They are fish, but they do lack scales. And instead, they are covered in a mucus. So this is the green Moray species. So just before I hand it over to Pat, please do remember to send in your questions. And if you are using Twitter, use that hashtag diveLIVE. Now, Emil, it's still quite badly out of focus. We haven't yet got a nice, clear vision of the Moray. There we go. We can see it just hiding under the engine block. It's a little bit in the dark, but you can make out that there is a Moray eel hiding there.
Now, just to give a bit of an estimate on how long this is, I can't actually tell because I can't see in the engine block. So, I mean, potentially it could be longer than this estimate, but I can see its tail coming out the back of the engine block at the opposite end right now to where its head is. Now, this engine block, I'm just swimming over it now to estimate the size in comparison to me. So this engine block is longer than me, and I am about 175 centimetres or 5'8". So that means that this engine block is about 2 metres. Now, if this Moray eel has its tail hanging out the back of a 2 metre engine block when its head is at the other end, then that means that this is 2 metres plus, so well over 6 foot.
Pat, I hate to interrupt you, but we've still been completely out of focus. We haven't yet seen the eel. There's a lot of sediment in the water, and we're not quite able to make him out clearly. That's better. Yeah, that's a lot better. So maybe if we don't go too close. So you can see this eel is opening and closing its mouth and giving you a great view of the teeth inside. Now, he's not warning us away, he's not threatening us, and he's definitely not telling us he's going to bite us. Oh, we're way out of focus again. Yep, if you just zoom out a little bit. He is just orally pumping down water to his gills. Now, most bony fish have a gill cover, which we call the operculum, but eels do not have this, so they must orally gulp down lots of water in order to get oxygen to their gills. So that is what this eel is currently doing. If they didn't do that, he would in fact die. So Pat, Philip is wondering, do Morays pose a threat to humans?
Do they pose a threat to humans? Well, I mean, in a way, yes, because just look at that mouth, look at those teeth. If it was to bite you, it would be very, very nasty. But thankfully, they are not aggressive animals in the slightest. So, well, it is potential that they could bite you and leave a nasty gash, they will not generally do that.
And Craig has just spotted the big crab above the Moray. I didn't even see that. Yes, we have a big crab hanging out that quite a few people are interested in, and a little sharp-nosed pufferfish. Yeah, there we go. Can you see the crab, Pat?
Yeah, I can just see its nippers coming out. Now, it's probably not a good idea for this crab to come out too far because they are a favourite food of the Moray eel.
Yeah, better watch out what it's doing, but I didn't even spot that, so thank you, Craig. So back to the Moray eel, there are around 200 species of Moray eel, and they are an ambush predator, so I often sort of relate them to the anaconda in the way that they hunt. They will wrap their body round the prey and completely crush it until it is small enough to bite or take chunks from. So it's quite an unusual technique for a fish to do, but that is how they get their prey.
And we can see right now it's getting a little clean in its mouth there from a little goby fish. And it's going back in now. And the eel must be a little bit irritated by it.
Yeah, we can see that. We do lose focus a little bit just because of all the sediment, but we can see that cleaning action. And even although they are called the green Moray, they're not actually green, which just baffles me every time. So they're actually brown, but the mucus that they produce to cover themselves, to protect themselves, is actually very yellow. So the combination of the brown skin and yellow mucus gives them this green-like appearance. And their mucus actually contains lots of toxins, and the main toxin is targeted to destroy red blood cells of anyone who comes in contact with it. So that is their main defense against predators. Now I think it might have gone back inside, but they are notorious for hiding and then popping their heads back out.
Yeah, I can see it down the side of this crack here, and I've actually got a good view of its whole body. And let me tell you, this guy is massive. And, yeah, I think my estimate of 2 meters was probably spot on. So this is about a 6-foot Moray eel that we have right now.
So Ray is asking, are Moray eels normally solitary? And yes, they are. They don't even come together during fertilization. This particular species, the green Moray, does fertilize externally. So the female will lay her eggs at a particular special site which is protected and probably hidden from our eyes, and the male will come along and fertilize them. And they are known to be quite promiscuous as well, so the males do fertilize many females' eggs. But there are some species of Moray that are hermaphrodites, but this particular one that we can see right now lay eggs, and they are fertilized externally. So they do not interact with each other. Oh yeah, we're getting a little peek of it just under the engine block. And there is a blue tang hanging around. So Pat, what depth are you at to see this incredible animal?
I am not very deep at all. I am only at 3 meters right now, like only about 10 feet down. Now this engine block is famous for having this eel living inside of it, so we quite often will check it on our way out or in from a dive, and I'd say probably about 3 or 4 times out of 10 he is in here hiding away. So it is a little home here. And this engine block itself actually is quite a little ecosystem in itself. It's got lots of little fish hanging around it. There's quite often crabs and crustaceans like we saw, and a lot of encrusting animals like sponges and tunicates on there as well.
So Richard is asking, how do the males know that the females have laid eggs? And that's a great question. So there doesn't appear to be a mating season amongst these eels. They tend to lay eggs when conditions are right. And the eggs, with the eggs, they leave a special scent, a really strong odour, which the males will be able to pick up and understand that they need to come and fertilise the eggs. Oh, it's such a beauty. I really do love these animals. And you can see there is extended nostrils at the end of the head. We're a little bit out of focus, but you can make out there is nostrils there. And that is because they rely quite heavily on their sense of smell. So the little sticky out nostrils that we can see, they are actually the in-current nostrils. There is also another hole there for when they breathe out. So there's an in-current and an ex-current nostril. When they really don't utilize their eyes, they're quite blind. They really don't see well, even although they do have those big black eyes. They rely on their sense of smell and the detection of pressure changes in the water, and that is how they find their prey. So Pat, Summer's just asking for some information about the structure that it's hiding in.
Sorry, can you please repeat that question?
The structure that it's hiding in, the engine block.
Any more information about it?
Yes, what is it and why is it there?
Well, that's actually a good question. I only know of it as the engine block. I'm assuming it's the engine of a boat, but do you know any more about this, Lauren?
Yes, it's from a very, very long time ago where it was dropped by accident and it wasn't immediately collected, but over time, when they did go to remove it, they realised it had turned into a habitat. So it wasn't intentionally supposed to be there, but over time you can see that the fish have used it now as their home, the eel. There's lots of algae on this block. There's sponges, there's maybe small colonies of coral. So over time it has been a fully functioning habitat, which is why it's not been removed. But initially it was just a mistake of the engine falling off the boat. So James is asking, are Moray eels territorial, Pat?
Well, they are. They do tend to stay, well, make homes, I suppose. So just like this one here, all Morays love a little hideaway. They love a crevice or a crack that they can weave themselves into and both ambush prey and stay away from potential predators. So as I mentioned, we do frequently see Morays here at the engine block, and they do tend to colonise these areas as their own.
Yeah, and Richard's asking how long it's been there, but I don't exactly know. I think it's been there a very long time, and I would imagine from the growth on it that it's a very, very, very long time. It's well immersed itself into the coral reef. So Cherry's asking, what would happen if an eel bit you? So I could imagine it would be really painful, but honestly, Moray eels are really not that aggressive. They would actually rather flee than stay and fight. There is lots of evidence on the internet of people interacting with them, touching them, which I would never recommend, but they're really not as aggressive as they necessarily appear. The bandit Moray has got a bit of a bad reputation for being a bit moody and temperamental, but generally they're really not that aggressive, and if they are scared, they will flee.
It also makes me think as well, because they do have this mucus on their skin that is harmful to other creatures, whether it bit you, if this got into your cut, whether it would get infected and hurt you or not. But that's a question, hopefully we never have to find out the answer to.
True. And Proud Cat Mama is asking about is the Moray eel the largest of all eels? Well, actually, the giant Moray in the eel family is the largest of all the Moray eels. And the biggest known is actually 8 feet, which is about 2.5 meters and can weigh in at 30 kilograms, which would be about 66 pounds, I think. And there is rumours of a 10-foot monster out there, but I don't think it's been proven. So in the ocean, the Moray eels are the biggest of all eels. And it's quite shy today, Pat. Normally it's out.
Yeah, it's usually poking its head right out, but today it is a little bit, shy. So do keep the questions coming in about it. I am going to stay on the engine block, but I want to show you something a little bit different. So we've had the big the big free-moving Moray eel, and now I want to show you something small and attached that we don't often see here on diveLIVE, a tunicate.
Ooh.
So, can you see it?
Yes, we can. So let me just direct everyone. Right in front of us, we can see something that just closed their two big bowls. Emil's got a great shot on it. It doesn't look like much, but I'm sure Pat is going to tell us exactly what it is.
Yes, so this tunicate, it might look like a sponge. It does actually resemble a sponge very well. It's got the same method of feeding and breathing. It has one big hole that it uses to draw water in and one big hole to draw it out. Now, the resemblance and the method of feeding is about the only similarity that these guys have with sponges. These guys, the sea squirts or a tunicate, are much more complex. So unlike a sponge, a tunicate does have developed tissues and organs. So it has a circulatory system, it has a digestive system, it has a nervous system, whereas sponges have none of that. They are just essentially layers of cells. And what's really surprising is that of all the invertebrates in the ocean, these sea squirts are the closest related to us humans. Now that is super interesting. They are almost like the missing link between vertebrates and invertebrates. Because what tunicates have is during their larval phase, they look a lot different. They much more resemble a tadpole than this sponge-like organism we have here. And this tadpole has a notochord. And what a notochord is it's kind of like a cartilageate, it's almost like cartilage. It's not quite cartilage, but it's like a flexible kind of backbone. Now, after metamorphosis, when these larvae turn into the tunicate that you can see here, they actually lose that backbone or notochord. So that is how they hold a relationship with us vertebrates, even though they're still technically invertebrates.
That is incredible. So what Pat just informed you, I'm sure many of you wondered what we were talking about. It really doesn't even look like an animal. Incredible piece of information there. As our eel friend came back out again?
Yes, he's just poked his head out a little bit.
So just in case people were wondering, the spelling of what Pat was talking about is tunicate. So it's Tunicate, tunicate. The cute little boxy fish that people are asking about is actually one of my favourites, and it is the sharp-nosed puffer fish. So maybe if Emil can get us one, that would be great. They do like the camera, and they are always hanging around. I can't see one right now. They were everywhere a minute ago.
Yeah, there's about 3 of them in front of the camera.
Emil will find us one. And they are very, very small. Oh, yeah, we got one. Come in. And it's a sharp-nosed puffer fish. There we go, right in front of us right now. It's a tiny, cute little version of a puffer fish.
And it's really great seeing these little fellas up close because they actually have quite intricate markings. I'm not sure whether the camera is showing that right now, but they have blue stripes along their body, which I think looks very pretty.
Yeah, we can really see that. I'm sure we wouldn't be able to see that before, but now we can. And it's really showing off for us. So these rarely go above a few centimeters. This is the fully adult size, fully grown. They are very small fish.
Yeah, if I had to estimate this one's size, I would say it's about 3 centimetres, so just a little bit over an inch long.
I'm glad you did that conversion. So well done, Emil, for keeping it on the camera. There's a lot of fish around. We can see a blue tang that's actually in its middle phase. So it's not in its adult stage right now. It's in that pastel blue colour, which means it's almost adolescence, if you like. It's not a juvenile, but it's not fully grown into an adult yet. We have some striped parrotfish and even some blue-head wrassies. I wonder if we can capture them on screen also.
Now, this engine block is actually a good representative of how hard substrate in the water can really create an environment through a process that we call succession. So succession is when a surface is eventually colonised by life, and the cycle that goes through after that of other animals coming in and eventually creating an ecosystem. So with this engine block here, it was here on an otherwise relatively uninhabitable surface. Now that after a while, it provided hard substrate for other smaller things like algae and coral sponges and that tunicate that we saw to attach and settle on. Now on top of that, it also has a bit of a complex structure. So it has a lot of smaller areas where species like fish and that moray eel can go and hide out. The combination of a settlement of animals and habitat for other animals creates food and shelter, and they are the two things that are really valued down here on coral reefs. So after this, smaller fish will come to feed on the algae, the eel might come along to feed on the smaller fish, and all of a sudden, voila, we have an ecosystem.
And what an ecosystem it is. So Pat, Safari Kid is asking, what is the water temperature? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so the water temperature today is 28 degrees Celsius or 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's very warm. And honestly, I don't even need this wetsuit, but it is great conditions for diving. And the visibility is a lot better today as well. It's probably about 20 to 25 metres or 70 feet. So quite a good day for diving, all in all.
Barb was asking, are they poisonous? I'm not sure. You were probably referring to the sharp-nosed puffer, and if you were, no, they're not. But James is asking a very interesting question, Pat. Is there any differences between porcupine fish, puffer fish, and burr fish, or can the names be used interchangeably?
Well, I think you're actually better at taking this on. I know that porcupine fish and puffer fish are actually separate, although they're grouped together. And as for the burr fish, I believe that they are a type of porcupine fish. No, I don't go with that, Lauren.
That was right, Pat. So are you ready for the confusing explanation? We do have Christmas tree worms up ahead, and we will go straight to them. But just to answer that question, yes, burr fish are a type of porcupine fish, but porcupine fish and puffer fish are grouped separately. So there is a sort of general term puffer fish used for them all because they can inflate and they can puff up, but porcupine fish are called Diodontidae because they have 2 teeth, And pufferfish are generally called tetraodontidae because they have 4. So there is differences, but the burrfish is a different species of porcupine fish. So it's all very complicated in the world of fish, but I hope that made sense. So someone was asking for a Christmas tree worm, Pat, so over to you.
Yeah, a nice little Christmas tree worm. This one looks like a bit of an orangey hue to it with some white, so it's very pretty. They do come in a wide variety of colours. Now the general structure of this animal, they are a worm. So the top third, or the 2 crowns that we can see right now, they are the top third of this worm. So both of them belong to the same animal. Then 2/3 underneath is their tube and the rest of the animal. Now what these 2 Christmas tree structures are doing, their radioles, are 3 different functions. Firstly, they are filtering oxygen, so it's their respiratory organ. Secondly, they are filtering food, so it's also their feeding organ. And lastly, they are also dotted with photoreceptors, which are not true eyes, but they do detect changes in light. Now lastly, underneath these 2 Christmas trees lies the operculum. And this is simply just a calcium carbonate structure that ensures that they are safely protected when they withdraw back into their tube.
So you'll have noticed we said operculum twice already on the show. So Pat, do you want to give a bit of a definition for the word operculum?
Yeah, so the operculum in this instance is the piece of calcium carbonate that sits underneath. So they have the 2 Christmas trees coming out like that, and then they have the operculum that sits there like that. So when they retreat, this comes over and makes sure that they aren't blocked out of their burrow.
That was beautiful, Pat.
The other time we say operculum is for fish, and what the operculum is on a fish is, can I get the camera back on me, Emil? So, I don't think you quite understood that. Anyway, so the operculum for the fish is the gill covering. So just behind the eyes, there's a little slit, just like here on this squirrel fish. And that is what they use to open and close to filter water through.
Yeah, so the official definition of operculum is a structure that closes or covers an aperture. So it is used a lot when referring to fish and other mollusks. So right now we've got a very cute looking squirrel fish staring at us with its big nocturnal eyes. And many of you were asking what that fish is, and it is a squirrel fish.
Ooh, I've spotted a nice, now, you might have to correct me with this, Lauren, but I believe this is a corkscrew anemone.
Anemone, yes. Let's wait until we get closer. There's a little bit of sediment, but I'll check it out. Yep, that is a corkscrew, Pat.
Ah, good. I did falsely identify one of these the other day as a knobby anemone.
Yeah, they're very similar though, so sometimes it's quite tricky for us to make that exact ID, but this is a corkscrew one. So you can see it's very different from the giant anemone that we do show you quite regularly on diveLIVE.
Yeah, it's really quite wispy, and unlike the giant anemone that we usually see that has a gas-filled bulbous tip on the end that keeps them afloat, these guys have a very light, well, corkscrew-shaped tentacle that kind of drifts very easily for them. Now, the purpose of these tentacles is to catch food. So they are lined with stinging cells, just like the giant anemone, called nematocysts. Now, what these nematocysts do is they are projected off the tentacles into whatever the tentacle comes in contact with, and they have a venom or a toxin that will harm or paralyze or stun or potentially even kill whatever comes into contact.
Pat, we're getting a really beautiful view of the tentacles, and you can see it retreated. It obviously wasn't quite sure what that was. It must have touched us. But you can see these tentacles are in a sort of corkscrew-like shape, which is exactly where the name does come from. Now, Pat, quite a lot of people love the squirrel fish, and a few people are asking, especially Paula, why is it called a squirrel fish? Well, I wasn't so sure, but I did check it out, and apparently it is able to make squirrel-like noises. So I'm not even sure what a squirrel sounds like, but apparently it makes noises similar to that of a squirrel, which is where the name originates from.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know that one. That's quite an interesting fact.
I did have to look it up because I wasn't sure either.
Did you get to hear the noise that they make?
No, I've never heard it, but apparently that is where the name comes from. A lot of fish have strange names that we're not 100% sure where they originate from.
So Emil is just pointing something out. What has he found?
Well, just while you're having a look, I can't see anything at the minute. Oh, there is a little fish inside. Is it another squirrel fish? I think it might be, and we're actually able to see those huge eyes. Compared to the size of the body, look at the eyes on this fish. And that is a great sign that it's nocturnal. It looks very cute just hiding away there. I think it's a squirrel fish, Pat. Are you able to confirm? I'm only able to see its face. Yes, it's a squirrel fish. Fantastic. So this is the fish we're referring to that makes squirrel-like noises. And you can see it has a fantastic coloration, that red colour, with the big, huge black eyes for seeing well in the dark. And it does have that incredible dorsal fin that it's able to stretch out, and it looks like a big sail. Nice work, Emil.
Oh, now I have found here 2 flamingo tongues.
Ooh.
But one actually has its mantle retracted, so we'll be able to really see the difference. So we can see this bottom one here, it has spots on it. Now those spots are not actually part of the shell. They are part of the mantle, which kind of lies underneath the shell. It's actually what secretes the shell. And so this bottom one has it partially covering its shell, but the one on the top here doesn't have it out at all, so it just looks like a plain white shell.
Yeah, we can. That is incredible. I've never seen it like that, actually. I think this is the first flamingo tongue I've seen like this. Now, they are called flamingo tongues because they are so flamboyant in their coloration, and the mantle does look a bit like a tongue. But actually, they are only 1 inch long marine snails known as false cowries. And what Pat was showing you is that people will look at this shell and they will think that it's beautifully coloured and patterned. But it's not. It's actually the animal's tissue, called the mantle, that contains the pattern that we see. So if you were to take the shell from the ocean and take it home with you, the animal will die, and all you will be left with is a pure white shell. So Pat, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's awesome that we have them both here for a bit of a comparison.
Yeah.
So we can see that they're both sitting on a gorgonian and they have devoured some of these polyps. Now they are one of the only things here on the reef that will actually feed on a gorgonian. And they do it in a pretty nasty way as well. They will actually dissolve the polyps and sometimes even the tissue and leave only the axial skeleton behind. So they dissolve it and eat it like that. Now, it doesn't end there though. They have a really tricky thing that they do when they ingest the gorgonians, and that is incorporate the toxins from the gorgonian back into themselves so they can use it as a chemical defense, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's why they have this sort of orange spots with black line coloration. So there's no point in being poisonous in the ocean unless you're actually advertising it. Otherwise, no predator would know and they would just eat you anyway. So it's kind of different from land animals, but in the ocean, the whole point is to advertise the fact that you are poisonous, and this will help you being eaten. So that is why they do display these bright warnings. But they are actually a favourite food of the hogfish. So that lovely hogfish that we show you a lot, they love to snack on flamingo tongues. So a lot of divers have over-collected these shells, and it is most likely due to the fact that they think they are so pretty from the coloration. They probably get a shock when they get the white shell home, and this has actually dwindled and reduced the populations of flamingo tongues around here. So that was a great sighting by Pat, and just remember to leave the shells in the ocean.
Yes, take only photos and leave only bubbles.
Yes, I love that. And we did just see 2 flamingo tongues there, and that was most likely a mated pair. They do normally travel around in male and female pairs. Is this another one, Pat?
Yeah, it is actually. There's quite a few around at the moment. Now, this actually could be a bit of a worrying sign also. They have done experiments with flamingo tongues that have kind of showed that if their population numbers get too high, they can really start to affect gorgonian numbers. So we can see right now, this gorgonian colony has 3 flamingo tongues on it, and you can see the damage they've done. So it's all natural for them when they're in their normal amount of numbers to eat the gorgonians, but when their population numbers get too high, it's just too much for these gorgonians to handle, and they're not sure exactly what causes the numbers of flamingo tongues to get out of control, but they have done experiments where they have isolated the top predators from the control region, and that has been led to an increase in numbers. So somewhere along the line, the top-down effect of those predators on the rest of the ecosystem was obviously keeping the flamingo tongue numbers in check, which in turn was ensuring that the gorgonian population was stable.
Yeah, and Richard is mentioning we can see the foot of the snail. We get an incredible view of the actual shell and then the animal itself underneath. And we call this the mantle. That's what we're referring to when we're talking about that. And this actually allows the snail to breathe by absorbing oxygen. So as Pat's clearly explained, they do feed on gorgonians and they scrape it off with their raspy tongue, which leaves a scar. So it is said that the corals can regenerate the polyps, but this will take time. So if there is too many, like Pat mentioned, it will completely overthrow the gorgonian coral. Nice work, Emil. That was beautiful.
Righty-yo, let's head this way because I can see a very lovely colony of Lauren's favourite coral species, Ecological cervicornis, or the staghorn coral.
Yay! I do really love this species, and I always get excited to see healthy populations. Oh, Pat, this looks like a really big colony, am I right?
It's really big, and I decided to go to it because it kind of was shining out of the corner of my eye. I just noticed this really vibrant colour and looked across and thought, oh, this is quite a healthy, big colony.
So before we dive into Acropora madness, Pat, Heather is asking for an air check from you.
Yeah, sure. So, I have got 110 bar left, so still plenty of time down here.
Plenty of time. So this is a really healthy colony, and quite surprisingly so. It's very large. And you can see it looks kind of hairy, almost prickly, and that is just each individual animal. So what you're looking at right now, for those of you who are not too sure, is a staghorn coral colony, and it is made up of thousands of little animals. So this is not just one animal, it is thousands altogether, and we can actually see them right in front of us. Each little bump, most of them have got their polyps extended, their tentacles extended. That is one individual animal. And the animal is hiding in the skeleton. So they do produce a skeleton. So what we're looking at is that. We're not actually looking at the animal. The animal is hidden inside. And now that Emil's got us closer, we can see the beautiful, beautiful, intricate detail of each polyp.
It's funny to see, just every time we come to Acropora colonies, there always seems to be one or two damselfish hiding in amongst it. Now, I haven't read anything on this, so I don't know for sure, but it would appear that there is some relationship between the damselfish and the Acropora cervicornis. There is always one or two of the same species hanging out in amongst it. So we can see that it does create quite a complex, almost maze-like environment here. And the damselfish do love a hiding spot that also is productive in terms of algae. We can see here there is a bit of algae in and amongst this colony of cervicornis. So it must be making the perfect home for this little damselfish.
Yeah, we can see that. So this big colony, like Pat mentioned, is probably a home to a lot of fish and crustaceans that we can't actually see at the moment. And just like the flamingo tongues prey upon the gorgonians, there is various species of snails, not necessarily here in the Caribbean, that do prey upon Acropora coral. So this coral, as I mentioned, is a colony of animals, not a rock, not a branch, not a plant, but animals. So they are living, breathing and reproducing. Now each little animal will have a piece of algae inside, and this algae is what, one, is giving it its colour, and two, is giving it the food. So the algae produces food from the sunlight and gives it to the coral. Oh, there's more Acropora down there. There's a lot, Pat.
So, just pointing it out to Emil, I found another corkscrew anemone, but this one has a little cleaning shrimp hanging out inside of it.
Oh, I think I can see it, but let's get closer. Yes. So again, we have that corkscrew anemone, and right in front of it is a Pedersen's cleaner shrimp. Now this shrimp, I imagine, Pat, would be very, very small. Yeah, so the anemone itself is probably only the size of a golf ball, if not less. And this little shrimp, its body is only about 2 inches, so about 5 centimetres. It is very small, but I did notice it very easily because of its bright purple coloration. And there is a reason for this. They are cleaner shrimp.
And what this means is that they clean parasites off other fish's bodies. So they're doing it a service whilst also getting themselves some easy food. So by being bright purple, they're saying, hey, come to me, I'm going to clean you. So they're essentially advertising themselves using their colour.
Yeah, they're very flamboyant. They sometimes perform a little dance as well, and that's exactly what they're saying. Just like Pat said, they're saying, hey, I want to clean you. And we do often find them in association with anemones. We're getting this in great detail, and this is the Pedersen's shrimp. So they're not shy, they will advertise themselves as cleaners, and this is the same as the fish that are cleaner fish. It's the exact same operation, if you like. In order to be a cleaner, then it saves your life, because the bigger fish will not eat you because you are doing them a service.
Now, shrimp are part of a group called decapods. And what a decapod is a crustacean with 10 walking legs. So this includes your shrimps, your crabs, and your lobsters. They're all categorized by having 10 walking legs. Now, they may have more, such as uropods or pleopods, which are extra appendages that they do use in swimming and everything like that. But that is what combines all of these. So you might not think by looking at it is very closely related to a lobster or a crab, but they do share the same characteristic.
Yeah, and we had a really good view of its eyes and its claws. That was incredible camera work there, and we can still see it now. So you can see they are actually more obvious than you would think, and that is of course for a reason. So Pat, Philip was just asking how many bar we normally start on. So we normally start on around 200 bar. Can be 210 or 220. And Pat will end the dive as soon as he reaches 50 bar.
Yeah, so today, to be specific, I started on 210 bar.
So Barbara was asking, what is that gelatinous thing? And I think you were possibly referring to the anemone. So the little cleaner shrimp was hiding out on a corkscrew anemone. I hope that's what you were referring to. Oh, big parrotfish.
Yes, it's feeding him. We can see that this one is growing a bit of a mustache. So they do eat quite a bit of algae, and some of this algae is going to get caught on their hard beak and grow and reproduce. Now, they don't really have a way to get rid of it, so it builds up as a bit of a mustache. It looks like facial hair for them. And this would be quite frustrating, because imagine if your favourite food was growing on your face and you had no way to eat it.
Pat, how would you feel if popcorn was growing on your face?
I'd be very frustrated.
We're getting a great view of it, and this is a perfect example of a fish that probably really does need to visit the cleaning station and get that algae all removed. Now we can see his eyes constantly rotating, but it's not stopping. It's just going to keep munching, and it will just graze the reefs of all the algae. They're very important animals because they do remove a lot of the algae from the reefs to stop it smothering the corals.
Yeah, and also in this process they digest quite a bit of calcium carbonate, and they don't digest it. It goes straight through their digestive system and comes back out as sand. So there's another important way that their feeding helps the reef, by recycling the sand. Now it looks like here we have quite a large feather duster worm, or a horseshoe worm.
This is a horseshoe worm, and right in the background is a grouper. So we got two amazing things right in front of us. So the horseshoe worms are in the same group as the Christmas tree worms. So you already saw a Christmas tree worm, and this is very, very, very similar animal known as the horseshoe worm. So if disturbed, which we will not aim to do that, is able to close up each side of its sort of wings, if you like, those feathery wings. Just like the Christmas tree can retreat, it can also do the same thing. And you can see those little feathery bits covered in hairs. So they're tiny little hairs called cilia, which are coated in mucus. And this sticky mucus allows them to catch food and then pass it to the mouth in a sort of conveyor belt style. And they can sift through the food that they catch, some of the stuff they might like, some of the stuff they might not, and they can decide what to eat.
And just to the right of this here, we have a lionfish hanging about very, very still and unsuspecting.
Oh yes, I can see it now, yes.
It has noticed us because it just erected its spines. So these spines that it has are very clear to see all over its body are a very formidable defense. They do contain a toxin, and so to get spiked is not something that you want happening to you at all.
Yeah, so it purposely hangs that way. It's nocturnal, so it is resting right now, and it is in that position to protect itself using those venomous spines.
Now, they are an invasive species, so this animal should not actually be here. They are from the Indo-Pacific, they're not from the Atlantic Ocean, which means that they are an invasive species. Now, an invasive species is simply a species that is outside of its native range, that has been introduced somehow, and that has negatively impacted the ecosystem. And this one has done just that. So once they were introduced, they had no real predators and a plethora of prey items. They would eat anything, any types of fish, and a lot of different crustaceans as well. And so obviously, because of the fact that nothing could eat them, but they could eat just about anything, their numbers exploded, and consequently the numbers of other fish dropped quite a bit. But since then, they have put in place a culling program, which has greatly reduced the numbers by people going out and spearing them and then using them for food, which is great because then the carcass is still being used and utilised, but it's also controlling the numbers.
So Pat, Marcy's asking, are they poisonous to people?
Yes, they most definitely are. Even after they die, their venom can still be active, so you want to stay as far away from those spines as possible.
We're getting a beautiful close-up of the detail in this lionfish's face. You can see where the name lionfish comes from. So Tom was asking, is there any predatory fish that can be introduced to prey on the lionfish? That is a really interesting question. Over to you, Pat.
Wow, that's kind of the old school way of things, isn't it? Introduce another species to get rid of another, and then the cycle repeats. So I don't think introducing another species is really the best solution to this problem. But there are fish that are starting to learn that if they follow divers the right way, that they can get these fish, and they're also learning where to eat them from as well. So if they come front on, they're not actually going to get spiked.
Yes, it can't be easy eating an animal that has that much venom. Oh, Emil has found a banded coral shrimp for us.
Oh, beautiful. So another little crustacean.
This has been a lucky dive, Pat.
Yeah, it's been really, really full of just cool stuff, really.
Now, we can't see the full length of the body, but we're getting a great view of that long arm with the claw at the end, covered in hairs, and we can see all those antennas. So these are another cleaning shrimp. In the Indian Ocean, where I used to live, they were called the banded boxers. Now, banded because they have red and white bands all across their body, and boxers because they take quite a stance when you approach, and they look like they're ready to box you. So they're not aggressive, they're just very confident. We've just lost a little bit of focus just now, but we can see this animal really clearly. So you saw the Pedersen shrimp earlier, and now you can see the banded coral shrimp.
Simone would be very jealous that she's not down at this dive, because we have seen her two favourite crustaceans here on the reef.
Yeah, Simone was our crustacean expert. This is incredible how clear we can see. Oh, lost focus again. Just go back a little bit. Yeah, that's more than enough. It's incredible. I can't even think of a better word to say other than incredible.
I do find these shrimp quite cute. The cleaner shrimp, or the coral shrimp, sorry. Just those striped bands. Just the way they're made. They're really a great animal to observe, one that you can sit there and watch for minutes on end.
Yeah, and it's just hanging out there. It's not really advertising itself for cleaning right now. But normally they can come right out of their cracks or crevices and start advertising themselves. So back to the lionfish pack, because we can see that also. Laurel was asking, why not just rehome them instead of killing them?
What was the question, sorry?
Why not just rehome them?
Oh, now that is a good question, but it would take a very long time. It would be a lot of effort, and it would have to be a continuous effort, and even then it might not work. It might throw off the balance of the ecosystem of wherever they are being transported to as well. So there's a lot of risk factors and failure factors involved with that.
Yeah, they are believed to have come over from the Indo-Pacific, so it would be very difficult to transport them back. But I understand. Oh, it just launched at a little yellowfish, which I imagine could be a damsel, but I didn't see it. But it just launched at it. So yeah, it's obviously resting and not too active, but still very aware to tell all the other fish to go away. So yes, Laurel, I completely understand your point that the culling does seem unnecessary. However, the problems they have caused by being here are phenomenal, and their populations are now out of control. But yes, relocating them would be a much better idea, theoretically.
Now, I actually have no idea what species of fish this is right here, but it is awesome. Can you see it with all of the... Oh no, it's gone. Did you see that fish?
Oh, I just missed it. I was reading some questions. Well, maybe we should hang around, see if it comes back. Yeah. Now we can really see 1, 2, I think there could be 3 banded coral shrimps here. And now we can really see why they get the name boxers from.
Yeah, so there are a couple of banded coral shrimp, but the fish I was looking at, it looked like a hamlet, except it had really bright orange spots all over its face. So it was a really cool looking fish. I hope it comes... Oh, here it is. It's just ducked out up the top here.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
So, Emil... Oh no, it's gone again.
Do you think it'll come back?
Hopefully. It's kind of just darting in and out of little cracks at the moment.
Well, we're patient, and I'm sure everyone would love to see it. And while we're waiting, Pat, can you just give us an update on your air?
Yep. So, I am on 70 bar.
Alright, so still a little bit of time left to try and find this fish. Hopefully it's a new one to our species list.
Yeah, so I'll just watch it patiently for a minute, see if it's going to come back out.
Absolutely. We're getting a great view of these shrimps anyway, so...
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I got it. I think I got it. Okay, I'm checking up on this. Bear with me. Is Emil going to try and get it again as well?
We can't see it at the moment, but did you say you did go to look at it?
Yes, I did go to look, so hold on. It had lots of spots on its face. And it did much look like a hamlet or a bass.
A bass?
Yes. I've had a look through the hamlets and I'm not able to pinpoint it. So if we're able to see it again, I'll check to see if it's a bass. But we will check when we get back and we will make that identification for you.
Yeah. It's always exciting to see a new fish down here, especially because we have been diving here for so long. So whenever we see something new, it's extra exciting. So, I do have a tiny bit of air left, so let's head back towards the shallows, which is the way I would be going anyway at the end of my dive. So we'll head this way and just see if we can find one more cool thing just to top off what's been a great dive.
Yes, and James is very happy to have seen lots of crustaceans, so we're happy that you're happy.
Yeah, we know how much James loves his crustaceans, so I'm glad we could deliver the goods.
So Shamsun is mentioning, do we have a species list? So we are actually working on this right now, compiling all the animals of every size, shape and colour that we have seen during our live dives, and hopefully at some point we will be able to share this with you. So it's a work in progress. Jacqueline was asking about the yellow fish we saw a few days ago, so I think now is the perfect time to just say yes, we did ID it, and it seemed to be a coney, a golden coney, which are very closely related to groupers.
Yeah, that was apparently that yellow colour variation we had is also quite rare as well, so that was really nice to see.
Yes, the golden variation is quite rare. So we spent ages over the ID books and we all agree it was a golden coney. So nice one to remember that. So we can't know every fish, or maybe we can one day, but it's still a learning process for us as well. So I think Emil's looking for something small that he might see in between all these corals. Oh, a sharp-nosed puffer, another one. And you can see, even though it's a very small version, you can see that sort of saggy skin under the stomach, which makes it a puffer fish. But this is this species full size. They do normally only go up to about 3 inches. They're very, very small, especially compared to the other puffer fishes we find.
And on that note, let's leave this little guy back to what he was doing, and I am going to say goodbye. So thank you for joining me today. It was an amazing dive. I had such a great time, and I hope you all enjoyed it too. Now, we are done our dives for today, but we'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. Grand Cayman time, and we really look forward to taking you for another dive with us then. See you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I thoroughly enjoyed that dive as well. We'll see you tomorrow.